Welcome to TAP's Industry Analysis TIA Spotlight. 3 questions in 9 minutes. Yes, we'll keep it tight, but we're going to pack it full of great information. My name is John Ragsdale, co-founder of TAP Innovations, and we have a special guest today, Dev Thakkar, owner at J. Sterling Spa. Thank you for joining our show today, Dev. Before we get started, though, with the questions, Dev, please introduce yourself and your company in less than 30 seconds.
Thank you, Jen, for having me. So we have owner. I'm the owner, manager, partner in J. Sterling's Spas. We have 9 locations in Orlando, Tampa, Sarasota. We have a staff of more than 120 people, and it was a growing, fantastic business. Massage and facial is something that people do quite a few people do on a regular basis. So that's the kind of a business. We are in a retail service industry, personal service to be specific. And it's fun. We've been doing it for more than 5 years.
That's excellent, man. That sounds exciting. We're glad to have you today. Well, let's jump right in. As we all know very well, we are experiencing a global pandemic like the world has never seen before, COVID-19. So let's start with business challenges that you, your teams, your customers, or your vendors are all experiencing. So question number 1, what are those new challenges that you are facing since this awful COVID-19 outbreak?
So these are the most trying times that we have ever seen. Unlike a lot of other tech businesses and other kind of businesses which can operate remotely, our business is completely shut down. Everybody, the whole entire staff is furloughed or kind of laid off for the meantime. Hopefully we'll bring it back when it comes back on. The biggest challenge is financial for all of our staff, their families. I consider them as my families, my partners. We all are kind of, gone out of income, staying at home, quite a bit of uncertainty when it's going to end. People's, their anxiety and is really through the roof. It was such an amazing growing business, but right now it's a disaster. This disaster that we have never seen before. Like in Florida, we are used to having things like hurricanes, and we had a couple of those in the last couple of years, and we had a couple of shutdowns for like a week or 2 weeks, but this is it's already been 3 weeks, and we don't have an end in sight. So this is a really tragic situation for our staff and our partners.
You know what? That is a real challenge, or those are all real challenges. And I know you're struggling to find some answers. So Dev, with those, what are you doing differently that you were not doing before? So how are you handling those?
Well, so what we did, before the pandemic, we did not have an issue of keeping in touch with the staff because we would always see them, and at the spa locations we go and we meet them, we talk to them. Now with this pandemic hit, everybody is kind of quarantined or self-quarantined or isolated at home because the government has ordered stay at home. So basically, we are doing a lot more interactions. We are using technology, and we are not in a tech business. A lot of our staff is not really up to the mark when it comes to using the technology, but we have a WhatsApp group going, and then we are gonna do a call like this where we're gonna use Zoom or something and bring everyone together because people are yearning in our just little chat rooms that they want to see and they want to interact, and it's just the text chatting and all that is good, but they want to see people. So that's something else we're gonna do. And in terms of financial handling the financial situation, what we are doing differently is the focus has completely changed. I was devoting my time on growing business. Now I am devoting my time updating my staff how they can use the government programs. Like they have announced this the stimulus program, the stimulus checks are going to go to their homes, and how to file for unemployment, and how to go and get the the PPP program loan that has the, announced by SBA, and then they have a EDIL, like emergency disaster loan. So these loans, a lot of our staff, they can also apply on their own. And then, we are looking forward to have, once we get approved as a business, then we can bring some of our staff back and use those loans to pay them so that they can pay their bills. On the other hand, we are, big struggling. It's a big struggle with our landlords as well, that our business being completely shut down, revenues completely dried up. So we are trying to negotiate with them, saying, listen, there is no way we're gonna be able to pay the rent. And you see some of these things in the news, where the rents, the small business being struggling, and we are an example of that. Is like a struggle to. It's an existential threat. We are hoping that we will be able to, work with all of our stakeholders, the staff, the landlords, and ourselves, so that we can see to the other end. So basically, the coping of financial crisis, financial situation, financial fallout from this, and coping up with this personal and anxiety, and keeping in touch. Those are the things that are main focus right now.
Unprecedented times and unprecedented tasks and challenges, right? Things that are in front of you, things that you never thought you would have to handle. Very difficult things. Now for the last question, and it's a challenging one, but if money and resources were not an issue, what would you do differently?
I can probably break it down in 3 segments: the short term, medium, and long term. I would think in the short term, definitely, all of our staff, and there is probably like millions of people out there with a similar kind of situation, with businesses on the main street being shut down. The short term, they need money to pay their rents. They need the money to pay their put food on the table, and all such, little expenses, that does not stop, even when you are quarantined, when you are isolated at home. So taking care of that, and taking care of making sure that they don't get into depression, they don't get into more anxiety, and, educating them on things that they can do to keep themselves healthy and mentally and physically during this time. And then in the medium term, I think it needs to be supported. The economy needs to be supported so that these businesses can shut down. Meaning, my understanding based on whatever I read is that, right now we are at a curve being flattened, and it seems to be thinking like people are looking at seeing that, oh yeah, this is the infection rates have kind of flattened, and it's going down maybe even a little bit. But I think this shutdown has to be extended until we see that it's really close to zero, like how you see it in China, in Wuhan. And I'm thinking, like, if this thing comes back, if there is a reoccurrence, or if there is a pickup in the infections, because if there are still infected people out there that are not detected, and if that comes back up, we cannot keep having recurrence of this thing. Just be going through one of these things, I mean, it's already an existential threat. If it comes back, it's going to be even worse. So I would rather see that they keep extending this shutdowns and lockdowns until we have 100% confidence that it's not going to come back. And then in the long term, I would think the vaccines and the treatments that needs to be there to really mitigate this virus, just get rid of it, kill it, so that the businesses can go back to normal. That would be the focus for if money and resources were not an issue.
That's a great way to think about it. I love the short-term, medium-term, and long-term approach, Dev. Hopefully, with the posting of this video, you and we can find ways to implement some of those ideas during the pandemic to help others, right? Again, we're going to push this out. We're going to share these ideas with others, and that's our hope. Any final comments from you, Dev?
I think people just need to take a day at a time, not worry too much, and that's why we tell our staff as well. And we see that the government, the Congress, they all are kind of working on it. So I think there is a there is a sense of urgency. People are acting on it. So, individuals at our level and our staff, we are trying to keep their anxieties low. I think there is a silver lining to this whole situation where you are able to spend time with your family, and organize your homes a little bit better, cleanse your homes, get rid of all the stuff. So, there is a lot of, other things that, taking care of some projects at home that you can take care of. So I think it's very important for all of us, and we are all of us in this together. So I think there's going to be some positive outcomes out of this as well, where we as a species, when nations fight and there is like a fight between country to country, the country unites. Here, this is our whole world is being united against this fight, against this virus that has infected all the countries. So I think it's going to change us as a species, and we're going to be working together much better, I would think, and thinking about all those bigger challenges that are coming, which is like the climate change and all the other stuff. And I think there is a greater collaboration between all the countries going forward. So that's I'm thinking it as a silver lining as a fallout of this crisis.
I do like silver linings. I do like the positive outlook and the optimistic view. Thank you again, Dev Thakkar, owner of J. Sterling Spa, for joining us here on TAP's Industry Analysis TIA Spotlight. Stay safe, 6 feet apart, and healthy, and let's work together to get through this challenging time.
Thank you, John.